People of purpose, what's going on? Happy Wednesday. Heavy on the W, heavy on the I, and heavy on the N. And I have another wow moment for you today. Are you ready to get into this? Because I'm ready to get into this. We should get into this. So as I'm constantly thinking about how I can grow, how I can get better, it led me to this. And if you anything like me, you sometimes struggle with sorting through the relationships in your life. Now, this can be a business partnership. This can be relationships with family. This can be friendships. This can be romantic relationships. Whatever it is, right? Sometimes you have trouble sorting through the relationships in your life. And we get into this groove where we confuse ongoing with quality. I'm going to repeat that. We confuse ongoing with quality. Okay, what does that look like? Well, this person, we've been knowing each other for 5 years. We've been rocking together since we was 10 years old. We've been in this partnership. We've been running this business for 3 years. They are still here. So that means that it must be something to this, right? But as I am continuing to get better, I have decided that I am going to make a commitment to choose healthy over history. Just because they are still present doesn't mean that they suit your purpose. And today I encourage us to take inventory, right? Inventory of the condition of our relationships. When I look at each relationship in my life, what condition is it left in after all these years? Broken communication. Is it left in a condition of one-sidedness? Is it tearing at the seams by neglect? Or maybe you kind of starting to see a hint of envy, or maybe it's a lack of support, or maybe you're getting into this groove of misunderstanding after misunderstanding after misunderstanding, and it just absolutely is exhausting. But what I am starting to learn, y'all, that keeping connections like this doesn't make healthy synergies, but it creates ongoing and toxic cycles. And instead of, that person praying for your wins, they are pressed. I'm talking about inwardly or maybe even outwardly. They are pressed about your success, right? And as we continue to grow into better people, as better people of God, as better humans, as more successful people, sis, I want to remind you that you have too much purpose to be dealing with a frenemy. Bro, you need people around you, right, that is going to come through for you. And so I encourage us not to get so caught up in the past, because really you don't owe the past anything but your effort into growing up and to getting better. And sometimes when you're in a position where you want to choose healthy over history, it requires some walking away. And, this is one thing that I have struggled with, but I am starting to come to terms with. Growing apart doesn't mean beef, right? It doesn't mean beef, right? Just because we are growing apart doesn't mean we have to fall out. But I am in a position where I need purpose, where I need support, where I need intentionality. And guess what? You are not showing up the way that my purpose requires for me to continue to keep striving in it and thriving in it. So I got to move forward. It doesn't always mean a lack of love, but it is a simple and daily and intentional choice to choose better. And the thing we get tripped up about the past is we don't allow it just to serve as a simple footnote in our testimony of showing where God has delivered us from. But no, we want to stay there too long, and we allow it to serve it as a distraction, blocking us into the path of where God is taking us. But today I encourage us to say no more. We have to move forward, and this relationship has to have purpose for it to be present. All right. And so, as we continue to be intentional about the relationships with our life, let's just remember that, like, people is not going to be everything to you all. People can't. It's impossible for us to be everything that we need to be to each other. People are going to disappoint you. But as you are taking inventory over your relationships, y'all, you have to remember that the real ones is going to show up and be intentional towards how they treat you. And everything else you don't have time and space for. I still have love for you, but I can no longer lend any more time and space. So today we are committing to healthy relationships over history. I pray that this blessed you. Don't just stare. Like, comment, and share. Let me know how this blessed you, because it was created with you in mind. See you next Wednesday.